In this video, we'll understand the problem from a variety of angles. From the charts, it will be clear that the only thing propping up this housing bubble are the low interest rates. Major threats that are ready to pop this bubble will be the California bubble, the growing foreclosure risk of FHA mortgages, the high delinquency rates of all mortgages, the leveling off of home prices since 2017, owners unable to pay anything on their home once forbearance ends, and worse, is the trend where the percent of mortgages underwater is increasing. We had initial jobless claims, and despite the media claiming the numbers are shrinking, which they are, the JOLTS report will show that hiring is slowing down, and will identify which 17 states are headed in the wrong direction. And finally, we'll go over major job losses announced in the past week from brands such as Coca Cola, Gap, Osh Kosh, Carter's, and Hertz. Here's a graph of the national payment to income ratio. What percent of the median income does it take to pay median priced home using a 20% down 30-year fixed mortgage? What's happening is that because interest rates keep falling, the prices of homes are becoming more affordable because it takes less of your income. Here we have a list of several cities and how affordable they are. You would say that 33% is what they expect as a maximum. So you can see that there are definitely some areas that are really expensive, namely San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles, even Riverside is a little bit up there, New York, Seattle, Los Angeles is 41%. Because interest rates are as low as they are, we're able to afford these crazy prices of homes. Now, what happens if interest rates are forced to go up? Prices of these homes will no longer be as affordable as they are, and prices would have to come down. So just in the last few months, we've had a crazy amount of appreciation in house prices. A lot of the reason for that can be seen in this graph. This is the for sale inventory. And the inventory of homes, at least used homes for sale, has been trending down, and it's been trending down for the last 7 years. You can see that it's definitely seasonal. The mountain tends to happen around the summer. Fewer homes are on the market in the winter, and we didn't have that bump over the summer. I wonder what's going to happen over the winter. I would expect since we didn't have that peak, we would have a much lower trough, so fewer homes on the market could really put a lot of pressure, like upwards pressure on prices. Now this chart shows us how much tappable equity United States mortgage holders have. U.S. mortgage holders currently have a ton of equity in their homes, and a lot of that is due to the fact that we've had such low interest rates. By having a ton of equity, that keeps the foreclosure crisis at bay, at least for the short term, because, worst case, if you're not paying on your mortgage, or if you can't pay your mortgage, you can pay off the bank by selling your property. So you don't actually have to go into foreclosure. Your means of recourse is just selling the home. And we can see that the inventory of homes is very tight. It's shrinking. That's going to keep the foreclosure crisis at bay. And let's go here to the next chart. This is the annual growth rate of tappable equity. Now the growth rate of our equity is actually going down. For all the people that are buying their homes right now, their rate of growth in equity is shrinking. Now that's going to be putting pressure on them. For example, if equity goes down, if it starts to go negative. How many mortgages are underwater? Now we reached a peak in 2010 where 28.5% of mortgages were underwater. Right now, we're only at 1.8%, but we're actually up from the end of 2019, 1.4%. Now, the good question to ask is, if home prices have been going up, why are there more mortgages underwater now than there were before? Maybe the home prices did drop a little bit in their neck of the woods, so now they're underwater, whereas before they weren't. It's very likely that a lot of people who had tappable equity in their homes did in fact tap the equity out. Maybe they refinanced and pulled money out. We can see that the number of underwater mortgages has increased by about 250,000. Now this graph looks at the distribution of loans in active forbearance. by current combined loan to value. So we can see that, for example, in the far right, it says all loans in forbearance. 62% of the loans that are in forbearance have less than 70% loan to value. They are not at a foreclosure risk. They have 30% tappable equity. So if home prices did drop by 30%, well, they would still be, for the most part, okay. The most troubling ones would be the 90 to 99% or the 100%. They have an incredibly high loan to value. So 17% of homes that are in an FHA or VA loan have 90% or higher loan to the value. So home prices dropping by 10%, we could see 17% of homes underwater that are an FHA. Now, a lot of these illness-related forbearance plans are expiring, and this chart seeks to look at what's happening to these loans once they are no longer active forbearance plans. And we can see that a large percentage are becoming delinquent. 7% of FHA loans, 4% of VA. Total market, 4% are delinquent. So again, we see that the FHA loans are under pressure. So in case you're wondering, when are these forbearance expirations expected? Well, we had a ton in September. We're having a ton right now in October. And the rest are just going to happen for the rest of the year, November and December. By January, we will have a ton of homes already out of forbearance. Coming back to this chart, we see only 4% of FHA loans. 6% of the total market are actually paid off. Now, the bulk of the homes are not actually delinquent, but they're performing. So I guess they're paying on the loans right now. But delinquency rate does seem to be matching with the paid off rate. And we'll see how these paid performing ones go. I wanted to circle back to this chart. The reality is, with so many Americans out of work, looking at the median income isn't as helpful, right? Because when you look at the median income, you're looking at people who are actually, in fact, working. But there's so many Americans right now that have left the labor force and are also no longer working. To say that, everything is all affordable now, well, there's some caveats to that. So just as we're seeing their forbearance plans are entering in delinquency status, here we've got the national delinquency rate. It hasn't been this high since 2007. That's about the time we had our last housing crisis. So here's the median sales price of houses sold in the United States right now. The last time this chart was updated was July 24th. So we're not capturing the latest price gains, but as you can see, prices of homes have been going down a little bit since 2017, 2018. Here you can see that at 2007, we were also beginning the down leg. So there are a lot of similarities to this region right here from 2005 to 2007 that we've had in 2016 till now. I would say the fundamentals with respect to unemployment is very bad. We expect fewer homes on the market this winter, so that would put upwards pressure on prices, at least in the short term. But for the long term, there are a ton of homes that are right now in forbearance that are going to lose their protections. We have a high delinquency rate that is going to force people to sell their homes. Many are tapping the equity out of their homes, so we'll continue to see fewer homes with tappable equity. And the labor market should continue to struggle. That keeps affordability suppressed. The only bullish thing, aside from the fact that there's low inventory, is the low interest rates. But aside from that, we've had low interest rates for a very long time. So unless home prices can continue to go up and people have more and more equity in their homes to tap, we're going to see a downward trend. We just don't know exactly when that's going to start. Here's a graph of 30-year fixed rate mortgages in the United States. The lowest point ever, I believe. Yep, we are at our lowest point ever. So we're at a 2.8 average. At the start of January, we were 3.7. We've come down almost 1, so 0.9%. This is what's keeping our housing afloat right now, is these low interest rates. No wonder the Federal Reserve wants to assure us that interest rates will remain zero until the end of 2024. They have to assure us because that's the only thing keeping the housing market afloat. Now, they're hoping that the labor market can improve, because without the labor market, there are going to be no incomes to support these payments anyway. But it's possible that we could see negative interest rates in the future. If the labor market continues to sour and there are not enough people with jobs or in the labor market, we may need to push these interest rates lower than they are now. And we had initial jobless claims reported last week, and it declined to 787,000. And here is a typical kind of a mainstream media type of push. Let's listen.
Major bit of good news in terms of the economy. We've had this story that the economy is slowing down, and it looks at this point like maybe the number of jobless claims has fallen off a little bit.
They're saying that, oh yeah, the economy is not slowing down. Let's be honest, the economy is slowing down. For me to show you how that's true, we're going to have to look at the JOLTS report. What's happening is hiring is still slowing down, but that separations from jobs are slowing down faster. The number of people getting hired each session is not accelerating. We're just getting fewer layoffs. I guess you could say that in a way they've kind of run out of people to lay off. And that's the key thing to note here. So when we see that initial jobless claims are shrinking as compared to the prior month, we should put it in context of what's happening. Are we getting an acceleration of hires? When the media reports cases of the illness, they report on states are headed in the wrong direction. That's probably helpful information to know if you're in one of those states, but a little section of the Department of Labor's details, they state which states are headed in the right and wrong directions. And there are 17 states headed in the wrong direction, only 3 headed in the right direction. And they tend to have a comment that goes with the state. So with California, there's no comment. Illinois, they say layoffs in the other services, manufacturing, and wholesale trade. Massachusetts, no comment. Georgia, layoffs in manufacturing, transportation, warehousing, and administrative and support and waste management and remediation services industries. Indiana, Washington, no comment. Florida, layoffs in the agriculture, forestry, fishing, hunting, retail trade, construction, manufacturing, wholesale trade, retail trade, and services industries. New Jersey and Wisconsin, no comment. Texas, layoffs in the public administration, healthcare and social assistant, manufacturing, administrative and support and waste management and remediation services, and other services industries. New York, layoffs in manufacturing, transportation, warehousing, healthcare, and social assistance industries. Alaska, no comment. Missouri, layoffs in the administrative and support and waste management and remediation services industry. And then it's followed up by 4 more states: Ohio, Maryland, New Mexico, and Nevada, with no comments. And then the 3 states that it has a decrease of more than 1,000 is Michigan, no comment. North Carolina, fewer layoffs in the manufacturing and construction and healthcare and social assistance industries. And Virginia, no comment. Before I get into the job losses, give this video a like, and please subscribe for future updates on housing, jobs, the economy, and investing. I tend to do videos on what's really going on, and I poke holes in the media narrative whenever I can. So here's Coca Cola. They are slashing 200 drink brands. That's basically going to cut their portfolio in half. So here it says, Coca Cola is slimming down, canning 200 drink brands from its portfolio. The announcement comes on the heels of Coca Cola discontinuing several outdated brands, including Tab, Zyko Coconut Water, and Odwalla. Coca Cola's decision to trim its brands coincides with the restructuring that will include layoffs to about 4,000 employees in the U.S. and Canada. The paragraph ahead of it said that they suffered during this illness because restaurants were forced to close and their net revenues declined 9%. Fewer restaurants open or not being able to open, it causes a lot of stress on these drink companies. Coca Cola, other drink companies are going to be affected as well. Employees within these brands, they're going to be feeling the brunt of the job losses. Then you got to imagine that they packaged it, they supplied it, they shipped it. There are going to be trucking jobs and supplying jobs, packaging jobs. The company said select Coca-Cola products will be discontinued by the end of the year. Here's another beverage company under pressure, Monarch Beverage. They will be laying off 633 employees. The notice comes less than 3 weeks after the beer distributor said it would be acquired by Reyes Beer Division. We saw that Shell was laying off before. Now here we got ExxonMobil. Walmart is announcing layoffs because of their sale of Voodoo to Fandango. The food concessions company Aramark is laying off 550 people in Kansas City thanks to fewer events. We already knew that Hertz was in trouble. Here they are shutting down, at least temporarily, car sales locations nationwide. They're closing all 87 car sales locations in the U.S. on Wednesday. So as part of their bankruptcy, they're trying to right the ship. They reached their target to sell 180,000 vehicles and is pausing the car sales program. Here's Carter's closing 25% of their stores as leases expire. Carter's is closing a big chunk of its store base, but it isn't giving up on new store growth. The infant and young children clothing company operates about 850 stores in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico under Carter's and Osh Kosh. Nearly 60% of those closures may occur by the end of the year, 80% by end of 2022. These are generally older, lower margin stores in declining centers and less likely to support our focus on high-value omnichannel customers. At the same time, Carter's will continue to open stores located in more densely populated areas in better centers with better margins. Here it says our focus is fewer, better, more profitable stores. Going forward, we expect our stores will play an important role supporting our e-commerce customers. So again, we've got another move towards e-commerce. Currently, about 85% of Carter's stores in the U.S. are located in open-air centers, giving it an advantage relative to its mall-based competitors. So again, being in a mall is seen as a disadvantage. Possibly the most damaging of all these job losses here is Gap, planning on shuttering 350 stores by 2024 in a plan to exit malls. As you can see, it was published 2 days ago, and this hasn't gotten enough media attention because a major retailer like Gap leaving malls is only going to put more pressure on an already tapped out mall market. Gap Incorporated is moving away from the nation's malls. The San Francisco-based retailer, which was for decades a fixture at shopping malls, said Thursday it will be closing 220 of its namesake Gap stores. That will result in 80% of its remaining Gap stores being in off-mall locations. As part of its restructuring, Gap will also close 130 of its Banana Republic stores in North America. Amounts to 30% of the company's Gap and Banana Republic stores in North America and focusing on outlets and e-commerce businesses. So as you can see, they're moving towards online and outlets. They're going to be getting rid of the malls. Other retailers would follow suit. You would think a story like this would be major news. I mean, this is a harbinger for bad things to come to malls. If mall fixtures like Gap and Banana Republic don't want to be in malls anymore, and big department stores like JCPenney going out of business or declaring bankruptcy, there is no need to go to a mall anymore. In fact, this weekend, my son and I went to the Fashion Show Mall in Vegas. It was so empty, and we were the only ones in the Lego store, and another toy shop had this policy where you couldn't touch anything, and if you did, you needed to put it in a bag for them to sanitize. After we were done with the place, my son said, "What's the point in coming to this place anymore if you can't touch anything?"